All right, we have a 7Q game this time. So a little bit higher ranked than the last couple of days, but should be pretty interesting. You know, like some of you have asked me, will I play the handicap games again, like HCAP 9 I played against like a 13Q. Like some of you have asked me, I might actually do that sometime. I don't like playing HCAP 9 games. It makes me play a lot more differently than what I'm actually used to. And that's because like when you're playing such a huge handicap game, you have to try to generate mistakes because when you're doing handicap 9, you're basically giving the other person over 100 points. And in that scenario, they can play safe and basically win unless you actually try to generate mistakes. So I play a lot of moves. I play actually a lot of moves that I usually wouldn't play. I actually play a ton of moves that I usually wouldn't play. The actual Joseki that I do a lot of the time is actually the Joseki that I actually do a lot of the time is actually 018, but this is actually a decent move as well. It's not bad. See, like this particular move is like giving me a stone on this side to take the corner is definitely not what something not definitely really not something you want to do. I think it makes this too weak. I don't know if this was actually a good move or not. I think it's okay, but we'll have to see. I have to see during the review how this actually goes. I don't play this very often. Taking the corner isn't bad, but like giving me this stone here, I'm not really sure if that's a good move or not. Maybe I should have just played elsewhere. Like, but I didn't want black to play over here first, so we'll see what happens. So I don't mind trying out these. I really don't mind trying out these new variations. They might actually not be all that successful at first, but I'm actually fine with trying out the new variations. Now, since you've played this stone, if you cut here, I'm just going to Hane this. I'm just going to Atari this way. So, like, if you didn't have this stone here and you played here, um, it would be very big for me to go this way and give up the stone. But since you already spent a stone here, since you actually already spent a stone here, it's not nearly as big anymore. Just how these things work. It's kind of weird, I know, but it's really how these things work. I feel like I would probably Hane here if I was black. You are building some influence, though. I mean, that's good. But you also have, like, the stone over here, which limits some of your influence, definitely. That's kind of strange. It's kind of an odd move, honestly. you are kind of separating your stones out here, though, is the problem. I mean, that's fine. One of the issues is that, like, you just made this a lot stronger. That's actually a bad move. Huh. I think doing this is okay. Coming up this way. This is not that bad. Yeah, this is playing out pretty well for me, actually. I mean, he can actually live that group. That's not really a big issue. It's really not a big issue for him to actually live this group. This is a bad play, by the way. It's an extremely bad play. Going to cut. See, that's not good because now I'm going to take these three. Like now I'm like really really thick. Now you have like two groups that aren't. I mean this group is fine for the most part because that Hane is fine. And that Hane I actually do have to answer probably with this, or like just this or something. But this group is still kind of problematic for black. And you've basically essentially given me a Sente wrap. This was incredibly damaging for black, this sequence. I think he actually still might be dead if I do this. That doesn't help him because he's still kind of dead if I do this, I think. So that was Gote, and I would have actually played this. I would have actually played that move. He can't squeeze here, so I'm fine. So I am actually going to play down here. I've already killed this. Mission has been accomplished. Like I said, I'm not really afraid of this. If he cuts this way, I'm just going to Hane. So I'm just going to Atari. So it's not really all that relevant for me. And at this point, you just have the problem that he doesn't have enough territory since this is dead now. That's not a good move at all. Okay. There was a Sente way to deal with that, but since he didn't do that, I'm going to do this first because this is kind of big. Expecting him to do that. Just going to go here. It's not a bad move. This is a test move to see where he goes. Not exactly a great move, but kind of like a test move to see where he goes. And also, it kind of breaks its shape, so that's why I'm doing this. This group down here is fairly safe for the most part. Probably have to do that. I mean, I've already gained so much from killing this group that I'm not all that worried. I basically just have to take more safety precautions to make sure I don't die, essentially. Because essentially, if I don't die, I kind of win this game. Oh, I did forget about a certain move. Yeah, that was the one I was talking about. I totally forgot about that move. I still have the jump in here, though, so it's not all that bad. I shouldn't have done that, actually. Should have done the other thing. Now that I think of it, I shouldn't have done this either. He didn't need to do that. There's no Sente there, so yeah. What's the biggest move on the board right now? I'm not really sure. I think this is actually decently big. It's also a little bit risky. Separating these four out. I think a better move would have been to play R14. I do think R14 would have been a better move. I do have to watch out for this group, though. That isn't completely alive yet, so I can't afford... I can't quite afford to be haphazard about this. But I'm haphazard all the time, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I gotta be careful about these groups. Make sure they're not in any colossal danger. I have an eye down here no matter what. He's not really in danger of dying, but realistically, I'm not either. I do have to be careful, though. I do have to be a little careful. As it sits right now, he doesn't have enough territory, so I don't have to do any of this. I can just, win, but I think you definitely have to Atari here first. Regardless if you're just going to connect that later. It's fine. That's useless, though. Let's do this. There's no way he's going to kill that, so it's fine. This amount of territory is not going to be enough to counter that. And I have other territory on my side as well, so right now he's down by quite a lot. That's good. Just gonna do this first. It's worth more to me. Not really sure why he did that. there's no points down here, so you have to fix this first. I know the automatic response is to block, but you have to realize there's like 4 points here. So this is going to be a lot bigger. What? No, you have to connect. You definitely connect that. Like, yeah, it does protect you in here, but I mean, it's just not. That's no good. I mean, I guess I understand what he's doing, but it's just not. It's definitely not the move I would make. Might as well just do this. I don't think there's anything in here because he can't do that. Oh, wait. Oh, crap. That's bad. Oh well, I messed up. Whoops. It's not a big deal, but I messed up. It's fine. It's not really that many points here anyways. It's not bad. I'm actually going to fix this here. Yeah, that's actually pretty big. I should have probably done that first. Because if he connects, I'm going to do this first before I do anything else. But I do think I have to do this. I think the best way to answer is just to do this. I don't think I necessarily have to do that right now, but I think that's probably the best answer right now. Here, back here. Just gonna connect. Connect all the problematic things here. He actually made a decent amount of territory here, though. There's nothing here because doesn't have enough liberties. If I do this, there is something here. Well, not really. Because if he cuts here, I'm just going to connect this way. He does not have enough liberties to do anything, so it doesn't matter. I do believe this is a lot bigger. It's fine. Whatever. He does have to. He actually does have to answer that. And it's not because of the. Well, it is because of the cut here. So I'm just going to do this. Sorry, this first. Do this. It's worth a couple of points if he doesn't answer, definitely. So at this point, the game would be pretty close if I didn't kill this group. That's basically what he's losing by, I think, because this is going to be bigger than this. I have a lot of points in here, and he doesn't have too many points elsewhere.
Byo-yomi.
Yeah, I probably have to do that. Sorry that. Yeah, it's a better move because that's a guaranteed point. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much at this point, but it's a couple of like little things you have to fill in on the board, including this. I think that's probably the only thing left.
Pass.
Don't think there's anything left here.
Remove the dead stones.
Like I said, I win by about 40, and it would be pretty close if I didn't eat this here, because this is like
You have won.
probably like 40 points or so. So let's actually go back and review this game. That's fine. Starting out, that's fine. So this is not good for white. You lose a couple of points here. This is too damaging to this stone. This is probably not I mean, that's okay by me. He does that. And then I'm going to go here. So the thing is, like, if you're going to do this, you just want to do this. Because I'm not going to do this for the most part. I mean, I can, I guess. But that would just be more of a fight, I guess. So, like, generally, people don't really do this right away, because you're going to have to hurt one of your two sides. But this is, I think this is the worst. I think this is the worst of the two cuts, in my opinion, because you're giving up way too much over here to get this over here. This is fine. I think that that move is fine as well. So I do that. You do that. Pincer. I feel like I would definitely do that. I guess, I mean, I guess it wouldn't, I guess it's not that good. I guess like, yeah, I guess you can't. Never mind then. Yeah, come out here, do this. I guess this is fine. That's a kind of a weird pincer. I feel like it probably could have just like ignored that for the most part, but I don't exactly, I mean, like the difference here is like 7/10 of a point, so it's not that much. I guess I could have actually done this and then done it this way, but then there's just problems with there's actually just problems with a lot of this. So I'm not familiar with how to answer this move. So this is why I just decided to basically disconnect these two groups and threaten to go under as well. So he does that. I'm obviously going to do that. That's not a good move. That's generally not a very good move. I should have done this and just taken the corner because I feel I can just still live down here. But this is just generally not a great move for me because I feel like making this solid does make white a little stronger, although you do take away some of the eye space. So yeah, I definitely should have done this. I definitely should have done this here because like this is one of the areas where I'm not strong enough to read this trade. Like this trade definitely favors white. This trade definitely favors white because black would get the top influence, but this territory is huge. So when black does something like this, if you're white, you have to think about trading as well because the corner territory is pretty big. So you take the corner, you let him get the side, you let him get the influence, and you take the side as well. That influence is worth a lot, but like white can still do this, and it's kind of hard for him to make use of the influence right now. And you're getting a lot of like solid territory down here. So that's why that trade actually works for white. I didn't really see that. So I actually end up doing this. He does this. I'm going to Hane here. And that's actually not all that useful. Like you definitely do this because I would have to do this. Because if I don't do this, let's say I play here, this is a big problem. Because if I take this, then I'm out of luck here. So instead of connecting, this is definitely the move you want to do because it's Sente and it kind of solidifies your eye space as well. So essentially, you do this. I think I probably should have done this or something, but I get the Sente. I get to jump out. You do this. I'm going to come up here to try to threaten this group. This is actually Sente at any time along the line. So keep that in mind. Black's not really under threat. I'm going to do that. Does that. I'm going to be able to threaten these two stones now. So realistically, like I would have just jumped here if I was black. These two stones, because this is Sente, these two stones are much more under threat than this group. Because this is basically like, since this is Sente, you're essentially fine here. White does not have to answer that because white's not really under any threat. White's going to do this, black's going to do that, and then I'm going to do that. Now you see like I've gotten a bit of territory here, and I'm still threatening this group. Now realistically, you can just go here and live. I don't think I can kill you if you do this. So that's always a move that you can live. But I was just like I just kind of wanted him to do this, so I would actually get like this move here or something, which is pretty big. I think white would be a little bit ahead, like after trading. White would be ahead of after trading these two. But you do this, I'm going to block. See, like, the trade between this and this is always going to favor white a little bit. I'm getting on the outside, you're not really getting all that much. But that's not the major mistake here. Also, the trade between this and this is definitely favorable to white. I'm getting a lot of thickness on the outside. This is like, when I'm attacking your group, my goal isn't really to kill this group because I know that this is alive if you just do this. My goal is just to get like much stronger on the outside. This is the big mistake here that black actually made. It looks good, but you're basically just help white solidify its territory. So you look at here, like white plus 2.4. Immediately when he does this, white plus 11.9. So essentially, I'm going to Atari on the outside. This is the exact sequence. And then he does this. I'm going to cut here because like this is going to be really weak right now. So he does that. That's actually a really bad move because this doesn't really help. It doesn't really make you an eye here. And it cuts off this stone now. Now if he does this and I do this, now this is actually a lot more threatening than what it was before because I have all this thickness on top. So that's like basically this particular cut. It looks good, but that move actually lost him the game. This particular move actually lost black the game here because he let me get so much thickness. So he's going to do this. Yes, there's a lot of cuts. So I'm just going to actually take this, obviously. I'm just going to obviously take this because this solves all my cutting problems. And it is actually Sente for me because he has to go here still. And then I get this. Like, this is the result. Now, you see like this actually went from a pretty even game to white plus 25.6 just because he did that one cutting move, basically. That's what cost him the game. So there are key moves like that that can just easily lose you a game. He does this first. Of course, I'm going to go here, and then this is basically just dead. I think this is actually kind of alive. I do think you can actually live this. I do think you can actually live this, actually, because this should be like... Yeah, I don't exactly know how this works out. Yeah, this is actually alive. This is actually alive. Like, but there's a specific sequence you have to play. Like, you have to play this sequence, and if I do this, you can just do this. And I'm pretty sure you're ahead by 1 liberty no matter what I do. Yeah. You're ahead by 1 liberty no matter what I do. So, like, this is the correct sequence for me. When I do this, and if I do this, you just go on top. And then you do this. I don't know. Actually, I don't really know if that's alive or not, because I guess black can do this, and there's no eye there. So I guess it could just be dead. Because remember, like, if black does this, and white does this, black can actually do this, I believe. White has to connect. Oh no, it's still not an eye. So I guess, like, yeah, black does have to play a move in here. Yeah, it's really hard to make an eye in here, because if... No, this is alive. Never mind. That's how it's alive. That's actually how it's alive. And actually, you can just do this as well. No, actually, no, you can't. Never mind. You have to do this. This is actually alive. So that's how this is alive. So if you connect, you do connect. He does this. You just go ahead and do this. He has to more or less connect here. You go ahead and do this. You block here. And then he has to destroy your eye here. You connect this. That's how black is alive. That's kind of like the Joseki there. But I didn't know if this was actually alive or not. I thought it could be dead, but he kind of answered the wrong way, so it dies. Once this is dead, like, the game is essentially over at this particular point. Does that? That's not a bad move. That's not a bad move, but this is... I think the only way you have any chance of winning right now is to play something like this, and you attempt to get the entire side or most of the entire side. This is not that many points because this still exists, and letting me divide the side basically means you're not going to have enough territory. So you have to take, like, at this point after this dies, you have to take into account what the state of the game actually is right now. You have to realize that, like, I have a lot more territory than you do, and you have to get most, if not all, of this entire side to actually win. So this is really not an option. This would actually be the move that you have to make. That's okay, I guess. It's not too bad. I'm going to fly here. So you don't really... I mean, like... I feel like you just do this, and then I have to connect, and then you do this. That's probably a Sente way. That's most likely a Sente way of handling it, because then you can just take the stone at any time. Giving me the Sente just feels too good. I'm going to extend this. He does that. This is fine. That's probably a poor move by me, so I just left it alone. I'm going to come out here. And he does this. I'm going to take this move first just to solidify this territory. Honestly, though, I shouldn't have done this. This should have been the move I made. This move, I believe, is actually bigger. I do believe this move is actually bigger than this move over here. So I do this. He does that. That's a good move because I have to respond. That's okay, too. You don't have to do that right now. There's nothing I can do in here. And plus, this group isn't really under threat, so even if I could kill this stone, it's not a big deal. So you wasted a move there. I'm going to do this. So I think here you actually would do this. Actually, no, that might have not worked, but it's hard to say. Right now, it might not have worked. So, but you know, like if you actually had an extra move out here, you would actually consider doing R14. Right now, I don't think it works because your liberties are way too tight. But you might actually, that is something to actually consider because this just straight up gives me a cut. I'm going to come out. Then I'm going to use this to come out here. I didn't gain too much out of this fight. I think you have to cut this. Even if you're going to connect, you have to cut this. This puts white in a really odd position. I would probably do it. I'd probably do... You know what? No, that actually isn't a good idea. I don't actually know what I would do here. Like, this move is just really kind of annoying. So I would probably do something like this. So yeah, like, you definitely want to cut here first. And then you connect this. And then you see what white does. Because that move being there is just really annoying. That's just one of those things, like, I think, like, when you get to the Dan level, you kind of just realize, like, yeah, this might not accomplish all that much, but you always cut this first. You always Atari here first to give more cutting points. So I connect here, go here. I'm going to do this first. It's kind of big because it does, like, solidify me a little bit down there, and I'm going to just jump here just to make sure that this group is okay. That's fine. That's also fine. I'm just going to take some of these Sentes. Yeah, that's you can just do this. This is perfectly fine. There's no reason to do that. I'm going to do this because this is actually pretty big. If black plays this way, it's actually quite big. So that's actually a really contested point right now. That's probably the biggest move on the board. That's fine. And this is like one of those things that you have to judge, like how much value a stone is actually worth. You do have to judge how much value, like you do actually have to judge D9. Oh yeah, I already discussed this. So here is one of those things where you actually have to judge the value of of a coin. Say like I didn't have this Q3 move. Even then, if you did this, I would automatically do this because it is Sente, and think about how many points are in here. There's maybe like 4 or 5 points in here. This by itself is worth more than 4 or 5 points. So I'm always going to do this. Even if that didn't exist, I would do this. And also, like, there's not a good way for you to respond because I can opt to fight the Ko with you. And if you are black right now, you do not want to fight this Ko. The Ko is much, much heavier for black than it is for white. I mean, you could connect, but that would give you like all sorts of problems, and that's very damaging for black as well. So this down here is just worth a lot more than this over here. I know, like, for a lot of lower ranked players, the reflexive response would actually be this. And then, you know, like this would actually be the reflexive response. Then you have time to fix this. But if you actually thought about this logically, like this move would actually be greater than this move. But of course, like I'm going to do this because this is a much, much better move. I think like Kata probably wants you to do this and just go this way. I feel like that's what Kata probably wants you to do. Do that variation. Because like doing this gives up like way too much. That's like when I do this, like I think this pretty much has to be connected. But it's very damaging for you on the corner regardless. Yeah. And then like, see, I'm not even going to bother to answer this because this isn't really big enough right now. I obviously screwed up there. I can't do that. I forgot about the double Atari. This I really don't even have to answer. I went ahead and answered this. I don't really have to answer this. I could have just gone somewhere else, and I should have. Like, this is actually much bigger. This is actually a much bigger move. I mean, you can't really do this anyways, right? Because that doesn't work. So, yes, you're spending a move, but you're really breaking 1 or 2 points in here. And this is so like right now, P5 is the biggest move. So, in like, when you're playing the end game, when you're actually playing the end game, like, if the game is close, this game isn't close, so it doesn't really matter. But like, if the game is actually close, like making moves like that will actually lose you the game because this move is worth probably 4 or 5 points more than this move. Like when you answer an in-game move, you have to think about, do I have to answer this move? How, and if I don't have to answer that move, it's not critical. How much is it worth? And honestly, here, like, there's just not that many points. This by itself is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 points. This is not 8 points. So making this move will gain you 2 or 3 points over your opponent. Pretty much guaranteed. So I'm going to choose to do this. He does that. That's actually okay. I actually shouldn't have done that. I should have just, once again, I should have just done this, honestly. This is bigger. I'm going to do that. He blocks. At this point, I shouldn't have done that. That's probably like 3 points. This is far, far bigger. So this is just like me messing up. So he finally does that move, which is good. I'm going to go ahead and just make these moves to make sure like this is all connected, basically. And then like the rest of it is just closing. So the real move, like, I don't know if black realized or not. I really don't know if black realizes or not. The game wasn't lost here. The game was actually lost when he made this cutting move here. Because that actually like cost him like 20 points, even if I didn't kill this group. So that is a very bad, like, that's just a very bad cut. And that you have to read the wraparound and realize that the influence white is gaining is a lot more than what you're actually getting, which is apparently pretty much nothing from this cut. So that's the lesson for today. I unfortunately do not have time to play another game, but I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. And I will see you guys later.